we just unpacked our Blue Baron 47XL truck mount and wanted to do a quick walk around with you to show you this machine. First thing noticing taking out of the packaging is very, very well put together. Looks good. Definitely it's got some neat features that I think you'll like. Controls are certainly very easy to get a hold of. On the front control panel, there's even this little barb fitting here, and that is a quick drain feature that is to set up and drain your water box in the event that you need to service the water box or even for freezing. This connection here is your garden hose connection on a quick disconnect. This is a vacuum pump oil breather port to help lubricate the blower to keep it from locking up on you. This is a chemical priming meter, and then it's a dual solution hose discharge. Down here we've got our temperature control mechanism, and you're going to see your engine exhaust come out here and your blower exhaust come out here. Up here we have a Dwyer meter with chemical proportioning, as well as your hour meter, pressure gauge, vacuum gauge, and temperature, and then we've got a choke control, a throttle speed, and engine speed there. So we have some lights on the top here as well. Coming around this side, the ball valve for draining that barb fitting on the front is actually down right here inside of there, if you can see that. This hose that's in here is for your chemical pickup to put in your formulated rinse aid when you're going to inject your formulated rinse. Also on the side of the machine here, you'll see there is an oil drain hose to help facilitate draining the engine oil out. The factory does include a really super long length of gasoline hose. Most factories do not include this, so this is a really nice feature that they're doing. As well as here on the side, you'll see here where it says fresh water pump and waste pump out. So these are quick disconnects right here. They provide the wiring harnesses just to snap in there when you want to add a water transfer pump, a fresh water tank, or an auto pump out system. They've made it super easy to wire those features in. As you come around this side of the machine, it does have a 2.5 inch silencer for your blower. And then up here, we've got our high pressure pump. And the first thing that I notice at this has a BX30 belt. Now, most truck mounts are not going to use a belt this aggressive. This belt is super heavy duty for this amount of load and should just literally last for years and years and years. The other really neat feature about this particular design is the BX30 belt that's being used for the pump is the same belt number that's being used for the vacuum pump. So you only have to keep in stock one belt number, and it's not like you're carrying a bunch of different belts for one machine. Just one belt is all you need, one belt number. The other thing that he's designed here is a real nice feature for tightening the belt. So there's a built-in belt tensioning system here. And we have our pulsation pump. This is a last step chemical injection pulse pump that they've added on here. Another thing I've noticed with this truck mount is all the hoses are Teflon coated on the inside and stainless steel braided on the outside. Now what that means is those hoses are rated for 500 degrees Fahrenheit, and that is not normal. Most truck mounts will use regular hydraulic hose that'll have like a 200 to 250 degree rating. Again, all the hoses that are using are Teflon reinforced on the inside and stainless steel on the outside. It's super high quality stuff. The other thing we have here, this hose right here, that actually goes down, and underneath the machine you'll see it actually end up under here. That's a pulse hose. So if you'll ever see that, that's what that is. That's designed to take the absorption of the pounding of the water out of the machine, and that makes your gauge last a long time. Up here is our water box with the float on the inside. And this hookup here is hooked up to a needle valve that I'll show you on the other side of the machine here in just a minute. That's to help facilitate keeping the water in motion. As you come around the back of the machine, you can see that it uses a Gardner-Denver 47 blower. That unit is going to push 560 plus CFM, which is actually more than a 2-inch vacuum hose will actually allow to go down it. So your vacuum relief valve is going to kind of stay open all the time just because of the tremendous size of that vacuum pump. And you can see also on the back side here is he's put in an adjustment bolt. And then coming around the side, you'll see another one here to help make sure that's squared and line up. And this actually is going to hook up to your waste tank. Now, up here on the top is the access point heat exchanger. Now, what that means is the access point heat exchanger is a patented design that allows the 1200 degree engine exhaust to circumference 360 degrees all the way around each of the heating coils inside of there to allow more heat absorption into your water. This model is available both with and without exhaust diverter, but you'll notice this particular model does not have the exhaust diverter, which typically would have been mounted up here as an option. But when you don't have the exhaust diverter, the unit gets hotter much faster and stays hotter longer, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of dual wanding. So we opted not to have that put on this model. Also on this side of the machine, you'll see some more fittings. This is a 2000 PSI pressure relief valve, and what that is designed for is to prevent overpressurization of your heat exchanger, which will help save this. You have to realize that the air coming out of the engine is 1200 degrees Fahrenheit, and your water in here is typically going to be around boiling. And if I turn the machine off, I've got 1200 degree engine exhaust parked around those tubes, and that water in there is going to go to live steam, which is going to be a lot of pressure. When you convert a cubic inch of water to steam, it goes from 1 cubic inch to 10,000 cubic inches. So it's a large expansion. So what also is on this machine, and this is really easy to access, is a pressure relief valve. So when you're done with the machine and you finish turning it off, you want to actually come over here and open this up. Parallel is open and perpendicular is for using the machine. And when you open it up to a perpendicular state, which is the state it's supposed to be in when you're not using the machine. Anytime the machine's off, that should be open. When you're using the machine, then you're going to close it. If I'm using a water extraction job, I'm not going to be using water or my water pump. Again, that needs to be open, but it's going to fill up my waste tank rather quickly. That water, when it goes through that ball valve, is actually going to come out one of these connections here, which is going to be hooked up to my waste tank and dump the water directly into the tank. Now, this unit also has 2 heat exchangers, so we have our main access point heat exchanger up here. We also have a secondary heat exchanger down here in the bottom, which is just to make sure it absorbs all the energy possible out of the water. Some of the other features that we'll notice on this unit is there are several places that there are Y filters. Now, this is where it catches a lot of trash and debris. This cap can be removed. That's a 7/8" wrench here. There's another one on the water box up here. And those need to be serviced and cleaned periodically, as well as you want to check any filters on your wand. Over here, this is a needle valve that keeps the water in motion. Now, this is factory preset. You don't want to move that. You want to leave that set where it is. And the idea behind that is that if I have a time when I'm doing a job, and say I set the wand down for a period of time, maybe I'm going to move some furniture, maybe the customer interrupts me, my cell phone rings or whatever, this unit is going to build up a lot of heat, and it's got to keep the water in motion. So a small amount of that heat is automatically put back in this water box. And so that water box is kind of being used like a preheater, but it's also tapering the temperature of the system. To keep it from getting too hot, you see right here, there's actually a 145-degree sensor. This is actually monitoring the temperature of the box, and when this gets too hot, it's going to open up and it's going to let water suck back to your waste tank down through one of these hoses again. Over here on this right here, so we have another sensor. This is set at 285. This actually tricks the engine to think it ran out of oil and will turn the machine off. So if your machine just arbitrarily turns off, it might have gotten too hot at 285 degrees. Once it cools down, that will automatically turn back on and let you go back to work. This right here, this sensor right here, where you see that copper tubing that is not wire, that is actually a nitrous oxide tube that's actually sensing the temperature in here, which is actually taking that back up to the front dial up on the front of the machine. So that's actually where it's taking the water temperature and it's making the adjustments to a solenoid. And when that solenoid gets too hot or it's getting beyond that temperature, it's going to dump water back to the waste tank. The other thing that you'll notice, certainly everything is very easy to get a hold of. People bring us a lot of machines to work on and fix, and this one is probably one of the easier ones to actually get in there and to change hoses and tubing and to work on it, which granted isn't going to be an issue for the first 5 years, but eventually every machine is going to need to be worked on, and this will be a great machine to have in your arsenal as a possibility. Now, on our website, I started doing a study finding out the performance of truck mounts. And how would you rate the performance of a truck mount, of how many gallons per minute it can produce, the GPM flow rate, the pressure, the vacuum it can produce, the inches of lift, the CFM, and the amount of heat it can produce, plus the amount of money it takes to actually buy the unit. And we came up with those formulas. This was the #1 best buy in the heat exchange category versus every truck mount we've seen. When you're looking to buy a heat exchange truck mount, this would be one machine you want to consider because of its professional design, its layout, easy of serviceability, and its total performance. And we definitely recommend the Blue Baron 47XL truck mount. Thanks for watching.